Okay, here's our Google document spreadsheet. And what we want to do is we want to take this data, and we have a fair amount of data here. And we're going to use this. We're going to manipulate this data. Okay, what we want to do is we want to figure out what percentage of the different phases of mitosis we have, and all that information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to copy this into a spreadsheet of my own. So I'm going to click all the way over at the bottom of the sheet, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag over and all the way up so that the whole thing is highlighted. All right. And then I'm going to go Control C to copy it. And then I'm going to, now I have to paste it in a spreadsheet of my own. Now I have several options here. Option number one would be to go to another Google document of my own. So I could create one like that and just copy and paste it. Or I could go to Excel, all right, and do that on Excel. Or I could use OpenOffice, which is like Excel except for free. Now I'm going to show you guys how to use OpenOffice for this purpose. If I have time, I will show you how to use each of the other two software packages. But I like using OpenOffice, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click and I'm going to open this guy up. And now I'm going to click in this first cell, A1, and I'm just going to click Paste. And it's going to ask me how I want to paste it, and I'm going to just say, yeah, you can separate it by tab. The defaults usually work pretty well. And boom, everything pops in here. And you may notice that we got a whole bunch of different information. We got the time, we got the team members who paste this stuff in, we got the plant and animal cells, we got all the different information. I'm actually going to get rid of these first two columns because, quite frankly, if we want to know who did what, we can always go back to the original document. We don't really need to know the time. I'm just going to delete all of these, all right, these two columns. You notice I highlighted the two columns and boom, delete, and that gives us a little bit more space to work with. All right, and I'm just going to pop this open so that you can see all the names. All right, now actually one other thing that seems to be making this go a little bit further than it really needs to, you notice I have a number of cells in interphase, number of cells in prophase. That's actually stretching things out longer than it needs to be. So I'm going to just delete that. Okay, delete that. That way we can have cells that are a little bit smaller and a little easier to get everything on one screen. Okay, and number of cells in telophase. Just get rid of that guy. All right, so I'm just going to now click and snap everything so it all fits on one. The way you get things to snap to size, you just put in between. I also don't think we really need to have the slide number either. Okay, that's something that, again, if we want that information, we can go back and get it. So I'm going to just delete this column. Boom. So now everything's a little small. Now I also realize this might be a little hard for you guys to read. So I'm going to click on everything, and I'm going to increase the font size to like size 16. Hopefully that won't be too big. Then I want, again, to size the rows, so I'm just going to click between two rows, and everything should pop into position. Great. Now that looks pretty good. The only thing that would also help is if this top row is bolded. That actually tells your computer something important. It tells you that this is a header row. Okay, so now I've got all this information. What I want to do is I want to actually, to start off, I want to start doing some work with this data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, well, I want to actually add up all the different rows. So I'm going to put that at the top so it's easier for everybody to see. So right here I'm going to click on row 2, and then I'm going to right click, all right, and I'm going to insert a row. All right, boom, and a blank row shows up. And actually I'm going to really want to do two things, so I'm going to right click, I'm going to insert another row. All right, and so I'm actually, in this row, I'm going to say, okay, this is going to be the total. All right, and then the row above it, I'm going to put percent. Now, I'm going to show you a manual way of getting each of these rows to total up. Now, again, I'm adding things up at the top so that it's easier to see it along with the heading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sum everything up. Now, the trick to doing that is you just type in equals. Now you could just click on the sigma sign, okay? But I think instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to actually type it in manually. I'm going to type equals sum, and then I'm going to open parenthesis, and then I'm just going to drag down and grab everybody below this column. So these are all the different counts for interphase, and all the way down to the bottom. and then I'm just going to go down to 116. I'm going to hit enter. Boom. When you go up to the top, there you go. We have 16. Imagine that. We counted 1,600 cells today. That's a lot of cells. Just an interface. And then we're going to do the same thing. Sum equals, I should say, sum, open parenthesis, and then we can drag this down. And we can do this all 5 times, but Excel is designed for for lazy people. Okay, you notice how this says sum B4 to B3, 33? And this one over here, whoops. And this one over here is sum C4 to C33. Actually, it's basically the same. It just goes over one row, the same formula. So I'm going to do what's called a relative drag fill. I've got my cell selected, and I'm going to go to the corner. You may notice a little cross shows up when you go in the lower right-hand corner. When I drag this all the way across to telophase, boom, it automatically drags the same formula over to each one. Okay, so that's cool. So, and it actually is kind of interesting here. If you look, okay, longest phase is interphase, next longest prophase, next is metaphase, then telophase, and then finally anaphase. All right, so that's pretty cool. Now, raw numbers are interesting, but I think I'd be more interested in finding out what the percentage is. Well, if you want to find the percentage here, what do you need to do? All right, in order to figure out what percentage this is of the total, well, first you need to know what the total number of cells is. Okay, what percentage is this of the total? All right, so I'm going to click here on the end, and I'm going to just type in the equal sign and type in the word sum, open parenthesis, and then I'm going to total up all of these guys. So I'm going to click on here, boom, 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 and hit enter, and boom, the total number of cells we counted today was 2,402. That's actually a lot of cells. So, as you all know, you calculate percentage by is over of. So the question is, what percentage is 1,655 of the total? All right. And so what you're going to do, you just type in a formula. It's going to be equals 16 divided by 2,402. Boom. And it automatically gives you what it gives you is a decimal. All right. Now, again, we can just drag this over. If you click on the cell and go to the lower right-hand corner, and if you drag it across, you're going to notice, whoops, going to notice something weird happens. It says that you're dividing by 0. Well, why is that? Well, the first guy is B3 divided by G3, but you notice it's C3 divided by CH, H3. What's happening is, wait a second, I wanted to divide everything by this number, which is, whoops, escape. I made a boo-boo, okay, is G3. So I want to divide all of these guys by G3. So how am I going to accomplish that? Well, there's a very cool little trick you can do. If you want to divide by a constant, all you have to do is in the formula bar up at the top, you see where it says B3 divided by G3? I'm just going to put the $ in front of the G3 and hit enter. Now what that means is no matter whatever's in this column, I'm going to divide it by G3. So I'm going to drag this over. Boom. Isn't that beautiful? Boom. 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 All right. And it divides each cell by G3. All right. Now the only thing is this is a decimal and I really want it as a percent. There's a very, very handy way of doing this. If you just click on this whole row, click on the 2 at the front of the row, and then just click on the percent sign, which is in the toolbar, boom, everything turns into a percent. Isn't that beautiful? All right, so we've now accomplished what we've done is we've calculated the different phases and we calculated what percentage of the time the cell spends in those phases. And if you look at it, it kind of makes sense, okay? You've got 69 plus what's essentially 18, okay? So that's 77, 87, plus another 6 here, which is 93, plus another 2.5, so that's 95.5, plus basically 4.5, and then it gives you the total of 100. So yes, my answer does make sense. All right, so this is the first tutorial. We're going to move on. We're going to do the second tutorial. We're going to determine not just the percentage for the totals, but we're going to okay, how long does an animal cell spend in each phase, and then how long does a plant cell spend in each phase.